So last week we commenced our explanation of Surah Al-Inshiqaaq, and we got to the point where Allah the Almighty is speaking about those individuals that will be receiving their books, the books of deeds in the right hand. And we spoke about an easy reckoning, فَسَوْفَ يُحَاسَبُ حِسَابًا يَسِيرًا, and they will return back to the family very happy. Now we move on to the next category of people. Allah the Almighty says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ وَرَاءَ ظَهْرِهِ. As for those who shall receive a book from behind their backs, from behind. And we find in another verse, in Surah Al-Haqqa, Allah says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِشِمَالِهِ. As for those people who will receive their books in their left hand. Now how do you consult the two together? How do you bring them together? So some of the scholars have said there will be two different categories of people. Some will receive it from the back, whilst others will receive it completely on the left side. But some of the scholars have said, no, this is not the meaning. And Ibn Jawzi, he gives an alternative meaning. In his al-Masih, he says that those people who are to receive their books on the left side, their right hand shall be shackled to their necks. May Allah protect us. And they will be granted their books in their left hand, which will come from the back side, and the hands will be twisted behind them, and they will receive it on the back side. وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ وَرَاءَ ظَهْرِهِ. And they shall be holding their books on the left side with their hands behind them, and the right hand should be shackled to their necks. Now imagine, they've received their books now. Now they know they are doomed. They know they are doomed. What does Allah say? فَسَوْفَ يَدْعُو ثُبُورًا. They will be crying out for destruction. They will want to die. This is the day of judgment. Death is finished now. There's no chance for death anymore. Death is in the dunya. After you faced it once, there's no more death. فَسَوْفَ يَدْعُو ثُبُورًا. They want destruction. They will want to die. We spoke about in Surah Al-A'la, ثُمَّ لَا يَمُوتُ فِيهَا وَلَا يَحْيَا. There's no death. But for these people, there will be no life either. So now they will be crying out, sobbing for death, destruction. They want it to come to an end because they know the next steps are not going to be easy anymore. فَسَوْفَ يَدْعُو ثُبُورًا. So Allah says about them then, إِنَّهُ كَانَ فِي أَهْلِهِ مَسْرُورًا. These people, they used to be happy with their families. They used to be happy. Whilst alive in the dunya, they had happiness. Before we said, those will have an easy reckoning, they will go back to their families being happy. وَيَنْقَلِبُوا إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِ مَسْرُورًا. Now these people, إِنَّهُ كَانَ, they used to be فِي أَهْلِهِ مَسْرُورًا. They used to be happy. Whilst living in the dunya. They were not worried about consequences of actions. They were not worried about sins. They were not worried about what they used to do. Who's watching doesn't matter. Whether it's in accordance to what Allah wants, whether it was in accordance to the Quran or the Sunnah or the teachings of the Prophet, it did not matter. They did whatever they did. They ended up at home at night and they're happy. And nothing to worry about. This is what the affairs were. No worry in the world at all whatsoever. It doesn't matter what I do. There's no consequences. إِنَّهُ ظَنَّ أَنْ لَنْ يَحُورَ. Why? Why would someone think like this? Because إِنَّهُ ظَنَّ, they believed that there was no returning back to Allah. And there's no resurrection. There's no life after death. There's no life after death. And you know what Mufassirun make mention? If somebody actually believes this, then فَقَدْ كَفَرَ وَفَسَقَ. They have left the fold of Islam, they have committed kufr, and they have transgressed against Allah. If somebody actually believes, there's no reckoning, because it goes against the tenets of Iman, the tenets of faith. But if somebody is heedless to it, neglectful towards this, then that person is sinful. And you know what, when we continue to read the verses, we come to know that Allah the Almighty is speaking about the kuffar and non-believers. And the Mufassirun, in all their explanation, they always refer back to them. But the frightening aspect and the scary thing about it is, subhanAllah, my brothers and sisters, us Muslims are waiting for the same thing. إِنَّهُ ظَنَّ أَنْ لَنْ يَحُورَ. We forget sometimes that there will be a reckoning. So we'll treat people how we want, we'll be as harsh as we want, We will do sin in public and private. There's no consequence to it. We don't see the consequences immediately, and for that reason, we continue doing as we want. إِنَّهُ ظَنَّ أَن لَّن يَحُورَ. Then Allah says, Bala. Of course. Bala, what does it do? It negates the previous sentence and affirms it. You think you're not going to come back to Allah? Most definitely you're going back to Allah the Almighty. إِنَّ رَبَّكَ كَانَ بِهِ بَصِيرًا وَإِنَّ رَبَّهُ كَانَ بِهِ بَصِيرًا. Indeed, without a doubt, the Lord knows and sees everything. There's no hiding from Him. There's no hiding. You think you're not going to go back to Allah, that's why you can do whatever you want? No, that's not the case. There's no getting away. Allah sees all. Allah sees all. And then Allah takes a number of oaths to prove a point. فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالشَّفَقِ. Allah takes an oath. فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالشَّفَقِ. He says, I take an oath by a shafaq. Now what is a shafaq? When the sun sets, and as it is setting, we have the redness in the sky. And that is the time when Maghrib starts. Salat al-Maghrib has kicked in now. And up until the point the redness goes away, when the redness goes away, that's when Salat al-Isha starts. So now he's taking an oath by that redness. فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالشَّفَقِ. By the redness in the sky during the night time. He takes an oath by this. I am taking an oath by this. وَاللَّيْلِ وَمَا وَسَقَ. And I take an oath by the night. وَمَا وَسَقَ. Now the scholars have explained wasaq into two categories. Number one explanation, they say وَمَا وَسَقَ. And I take an oath by the night and everything which is included within it. Or everything it gathers together. Everything it gathers together. So as we know, when the night comes, traditionally speaking, people would not work by night. People would not work by night. They work during the day. So the day was used for earning money. The day was used for labor, and the night was for rest. What does Allah say? وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. We have made the day for the means of acquiring your wealth. So everybody comes back together to the family during the night. So the night causes people to get together. The animals, they retreat back to their places of residence. So whether they live in a cave or a hole in the ground, or they live on top of the trees, we don't see the birds usually flying around during the night time. I mean, back in those days, they didn't even have lights or anything like that. Lamps like the way we have it, the street lights. So you wouldn't see anything. All the creepy crawlies would go back to their places of retreat. All the lions and the tigers and whatever else you might have in the desert, they'd all go back to their families. So وَاللَّيْلِ وَمَا وَسَقَ. I take an oath by the night, and everything the night gathers together, causing every creature to come back to their place of retreat. Or the other explanation is وَاللَّيْلِ وَمَا وَسَقَ. I take an oath by the night, and everything that the night covers. Is there anything in creation that's not, or in anything in the earth, in the dunya, which is not covered by the night? No. So the buildings, Allah taking an oath by the buildings, by the mountains, by the grass on the floor. Allah is taking an oath by the street, by everything in creation that is covered by the night. وَاللَّيْلِ وَمَا وَسَقَ وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا اتَّسَقَ. And then he says, I take an oath by the moon when it is at its peak with its brightness. When it reaches the peak of its brightness, meaning the 13th, 14th, and the 15th night of the lunar calendar. That is when you have the full moon, the Badr. You have the full moon. So Allah is taking an oath by these creations. وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا اتَّسَقَ. And then he says, لَتَرْكَبُنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ. لَتَرْكَبُنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ. Now, with regards to this verse, there are two qira'at. There are two ways of reciting this verse. لَتَرْكَبُنَّ, and you can say لَتَرْكَبَنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ. And I'll explain both of them. So the standard recitation that we know, the one I recited in Salah today, لَتَرْكَبُنَّ, with the dhamma of the ba. لَتَرْكَبُنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ. And we have لَتَرْكَبَنَّ, which is the recitation of Imam Kisai, Imam Hamza, as well as Imam Ibn Kathir. So let's speak about لَتَرْكَبَنَّ first. This is perhaps the least scariest one. So when we say لَتَرْكَبَنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ, it's a direct address to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there's no threat in it at all whatsoever. So I've taken an oath by this and that and this, that most surely you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, will go from stage to stage. Meaning, come the day of judgment, you'll be going in stage and in daraja and in station and in levels. You'll be going from one to the other, one to the other. You're just going to be going up and up and up. Nothing to stop you. So this is consolation to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You're going through all these difficulties in Mecca. Don't worry. We're promising you elevation in the hereafter. You're going to go up in status. But if we look at the recitation that تَرْكَبُنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ, it's a completely different meaning now. Now it becomes a threat. It means everybody listening, or the people that was referring to, the previous verse, the ones who will receive the books in their left hand or behind them, when you're listening, لَتَرْكَبُنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ, come the day of judgment, you will also be going through stages and stages. But what are these stages talking about? What stages is it referring to? Ibn Jawzi makes mention that it starts with a shada'id. You have the stage of difficulties in the dunya. We have to feed yourself, clothe yourself, rest yourself, clean yourself. You have all the troubles in the dunya. And if you are among those people who will receive their books in the left hand, then come the time of death, al-ahwal. You will have a frightening scenario at that time. The angels will come in the worst of situation, worst of appearance. They will be frightening. They will come sit around you. They will extract your soul. They will squeeze it out. And the pain the person will have to go through. And then say, ثُمَّ الْمَوْتِ. Then after that you will have the actual death. First is meeting the angels. Meeting the angels at the time of death. And then it will be the actual death, the soul being taken out of the body. And then he says, ثُمَّ الْبَعْثِ. Then it will be the resurrection. Receiving the ruh at that time. ثُمَّ الْعَرْضِ. Then looking at your deeds and being judged on them. He says, لَتَرْكَبُنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ. It's referring to these stages. For you go from one stage of difficulty to another stage of difficulty to another stage of difficulty. And then he says, فَمَا لَهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. What is wrong with you? Why do you not believe? You've heard all this. You've heard all this. Why is Iman still not coming to you? Why do you not believe in it? وَإِذَا قُرِئَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقُرْآنُ, what does Allah say? لَا يَسْجُدُونَ. And when they hear the recitation of the Quran, they do not do sujood. They do not do sujood. Now what is sujood here literally mean? Does it mean actually falling into prostration or not? The scholars have given different opinions. Number one is لَا يُصَلُّونَ. Despite hearing the verses of the Quran, despite hearing about those who will receive the books in their left hand and what is waiting for them and the destruction that they will want for themselves and the thought that they have that they will never return back to Allah, and Allah's negating that and He's saying that you will come to me and I will show you everything. Despite hearing all this, they don't pray, they don't commit to the Salah. And generally speaking about non-Muslims. But when we say about Muslims who hear it and still don't pray, may Allah protect us from falling into such categories. Number one explanation. Number two, لَا يَخْضَعُونَ. Those who after hearing the verses of the Quran, they still don't humble themselves. They still don't humble themselves. There's no humility. It's all about me, myself, and I. Look at my name, look at my fame. It's all about me. وَإِذَا قُرِئَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقُرْآنُ, Allah says when the Quran is being recited, it has no effect on them. It has no effect on them. So they don't prostrate themselves, they don't bow down themselves, they don't make themselves low. No, how high can I get? How high can I get? بَلِ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا يُكَذِّبُونَ. Allah says, rather, as for those who do not believe, they reject the Quran altogether. Forget praying and forget humbling themselves, they just reject it altogether. They don't want anything to do with it. If anything, they're going to start calling it a book of sorcery, a book of magic, a book of soothsayers. وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا يُوعُونَ. And Allah says, Allah is well aware of what your hearts contain. Any goodness that's in the heart, Allah is well aware of it. Any evil that's in the heart, Allah's aware of it. Allah's aware of it. فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. It's almost like Allah is mocking them now. Those who receive their books in their left hands, Allah is mocking them. He says, فَبَشِّرْهُمْ. Now the word bashara is usually used for good news. It means glad tidings. Allah is saying, give them the glad tidings of a painful punishment. Imagine that. Oh Allah, protect us from being in the category of such people. Imagine, Allah is saying, give them the glad tidings. Allah is mocking them. Of a painful punishment. We don't call that glad tidings. But this is what Allah is saying to them. Those who want to reject it, those who are happy to have the books in their left hands, those who think they're not going to go back to Allah, فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. Take the glad tidings of painful punishment. And then Allah tells us the exception. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Those who will not fall under this category is إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Except for those who have bought Iman. They have Iman. وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. It's not good enough to say I am a Muslim. It's not good enough just to tick the box I am a Muslim. No. وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. We have to have the righteous deeds. Then what is waiting for them? لَهُمْ أَجْرٌ غَيْرُ مَمْنُونٍ. For them is a non-stop, non-ending and infinite amount of goodness, reward. لَهُمْ أَجْرٌ. A reward غَيْرُ مَمْنُونٍ which will never come to an end. Now, before I conclude the surah, I take you back to the beginning. Allah the Almighty started the surah by saying what? يَا أَيُّهَا الْإِنسَانِ. O man, إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ كَادِحًا فَمُلَاقِيهِ. O man, you are putting all your effort, you're putting all your joy, your effort, your purpose, all your energy is going in to acquiring something. Whether it's the dunya or the world, but your ultimate return is to Allah. And you will meet Allah with all that you have done. And yet He will reward you accordingly. He'll either reward you for it if it's something good, otherwise He will punish you for it. And Allah has concluded this surah by reminding us of that. فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. Those who will get the books in their left hands, then give them the glad tidings of painful punishment. And those who have done the good deeds, and those who have brought Iman, for them will be a non-stop reward. Never-ending reward. So this is what we want to aim for, my brothers and sisters. Not that Ramadan is coming now, very soon. Less than 2 months left. We need to start building in the habits now. We need to start building in the habits now. We start building the habits now for Ramadan. It's not a training field anymore. We've done the training. Now we can go by ourselves. We don't need the training wheels anymore. We can go by ourselves independently to our worship. Build that connection with Allah the Almighty. Fulfill إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. And then we believe that أَجْرٌ غَيْرُ مَمْنُونٍ. May Allah the Almighty give us an understanding and allow us to save ourselves from falling under the category of those who receive the books either behind their backs or on their left side. And may Allah allow us to receive our books on the right hands, that we are so excited that at that time anybody who will find will say اقرأوا كتابيا هاؤم اقرأوا كتابيا. Stop. And people will be saying, stop. Read my book. I've got something to show off with it. Ya Allah, the Almighty, make it easy for us. Subhanallah, 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 subhanallah,